Greetings, irradiant particles. We greet you in this new now, this new energy that enfolds your beings and your experiences. We have great amusement in watching our conduit trying to express the unexpressible. He has been gifted with a vision of the totality of creation, and in his struggle to share it, he builds complexity upon complexity. But we shall return you to the simplicity, which as ever is the one void, which is voidness and oneness. Voidness and oneness, inseparable, yet different. And in that difference, they create a dimension of difference. And halfway across that dimension is both the one and the void, and yet neither being the one nor the void. And it is that point of paradox that is the source of your consciousness, that balance, median point. And within that structure of the one void, inherent in the very nature of voidness and oneness, is a logical structure that can be expressed mathematically and geometrically, but is unavoidable. It must be. It takes no one to put it there, for it must be there for anything else to be. And that point both joins the one and the void, and yet also separates them. For on this side is mostly one, and on this side is mostly void. And in the absolute one there is no void, and in the absolute void there is no one. There is no one in the void. And in that separation, it creates a boundary, a barrier of separation across the continuity. And all those logical permutations and that boundary resonate across all the holographic representations of it. Everything is a fractal similarity. That is, all experience is just a perspective of that very same logic. For nothing can be without that logic being within it and without it. But seen it from different perspectives, it looks different, until you look at it directly. And when you look at it directly, it always looks the same. For the one void is the only thing that is the same from all directions. But in your experience, when you look from a different context, you see a different thing. When you are not seeing the reality of what it is, it looks different. And only when you look beyond those differences do you see the similarity. So that boundary between the one and the void is the source of consciousness and awareness. The void is the one having the awareness, and the one is the thing you're conscious of. And that point in the middle is where awareness and consciousness are shared. The source of your consciousness, the source of life. And on the side of the void, this side of the separation, all this is void. The totality of it is nothing. And yet it contains the patterns of all that is possible. And those patterns all have probabilities, for everything that is possible is probable to some degree. And since there are no limits, within infinity all probabilities are expressed. And the expression of those possibilities and probabilities is their potential. And it is that potential that manifests this side of the boundary as your experience. And we've talked of barriers before as being the barrier between your 3D experience and the higher dimensions. And that is a fractal similarity, a holographic resonance, a cyclic repetition at different levels. For the inner logic of everything is the same. So all barriers share many of the same characteristics. And understanding the barrier between the one and the void enables you to understand the barrier between your three-dimensional experience and the higher levels of experience. For in the same as the one and the void, that which separates also joins. It is a continuity or connectivity. And yet across the median point, there is separation. In the same way as your skin separates you from the outside world and yet joins you to it. You are continuous with the outside world. There is no separation. There is no tiny little gap between you and the outside world. You are continuous. There is no separation, for in totality you are one. And that boundary between the void and the one, the source of consciousness, is from where we speak. This side of the boundary is the field of information, which is naught but the pattern of consciousness and the pattern of naught. And that pattern reflects across the boundary and becomes the actuality, the reality of your experience, empowered by the potential within that information field. And our conduit has seen that boundary, has looked at the boundary from the one and gazed into the void. And he has looked at the boundary from the void and gazed into the one. And has known the void from within the void, of being the void, experiencing the void. And of course he knows the experience of being the one, knowing the one, for that is what we do. What you do, what we all do, is being one thing, experiencing one thing. And it is that knowing of the conduit, of that boundary, from both sides, and from within and from without, that enables us to communicate here with you. It is up to you what you experience. You can hold on to your false beliefs, assumptions, presumptions, faiths, trusts in what is true. You cherry pick. For if you are honest with yourself, you know there is always someone else that disagrees with every single belief, assumption, presumption, faith or trust, or even feeling that you have. There is always someone else in a different context that sees it differently. So in your experience there is no absolute truth. For you are in duality, and there are always two perspectives. And the only thing that has a single nature is the one void. That is the only immutable truth. For everything else relates to it, and hence is dual. And hence, depending on the context within which you see it, it will look different. So in knowing that you are only assuming and believing and feeling a part of the whole truth, why would you judge someone else for holding to a different part of the truth? Let alone, why would you become angry at their difference from you? For you are both looking at the same thing and seeing different aspects of it. And so it is more logical to feel joy for others' different aspects, for they are showing you a greater nature of what is, greater than your limited perspective. We wonder. We are in wonderment. Joyous, glad wonderment. At the vastness and complexity, at all the exquisite details, all the nooks and crannies of reality. There is, at the core, no separation, for everything emanates from the one void. And seen from there, there is no conflict, no paradox, no discord, only joy and love and balance and harmony. And we bid you join us there, in love and harmony, in joy and laughter, does mean letting go of some cherished beliefs, assumptions, presumptions, faiths, truths, feelings, for they are all partial. So come, join us in the oneness. Be one with us. Know that you are an expression of the totality. Find joy in your observation of that totality. Know the love that it is being expressed. With profound respect and immense gratitude for the roles you play. We love you and bid you greetings.